What's going on YouTube? So this quirky and boxy Kia Soul first took the world by storm about a decade ago. And today we're in the latest 2024 example with a few changes, but still a very affordable price of under $25K fully loaded. So is this the best combination of affordability and practicality? Well, let's go ahead and find out. So let's start off under the hood for our spec dump. Now, one of the things they did last year with the refresh was simplify the powertrain arrangement, and that continues this year. So you only have a 2-liter 4-cylinder engine. It's making 147 horsepower, 132 pound-feet of torque.
All models have a CVT front-wheel drive only, and as far as your fuel economy is concerned, it's sitting at 31 miles a gallon combined.
Now, of course, later on in this video, we're going to go out for a test drive. We're going to check things like our sound level reading, because you probably want to know, even though it's affordable, does that mean it's going to be loud? We'll put that to the test so we can also compare to rivals on CarConfections.com. But first, let's close up the hood and take a look at the stylish exterior. So the Kia Soul has always been all about that boxy style, and that does continue for 2024. Now, last year in 2023, it did get a refreshed design. You'll see that carry on. We have a more aggressive front, basically. So you'll notice down here, this lower fascia is quite large, goes all the way down to the bottom. We have some silver accenting running through it here on the EX trim level. And then up top, you'll have that same kind of finish behind a little piece of glass and your Kia emblem. Now that's going to continue into our headlights. Here on this top model, we actually don't have LED headlights. You'll see these are the halogen headlights. This is going to be included on all trims, but on the GT model, you can option on LED headlights. When you choose that, that's also going to give you LED fog lights. Now as we move to the back, surprise, surprise, it is boxy.
Yep, it has that signature Soul design here on the rear. And one of the main things to do with the rear design, of course, are your tail lights. So Drew's going to go ahead and hop inside and see if all the elements are LED. But we do have an incandescent brake light, incandescent reverse light, and incandescent turn signal indicator. Now, you can't actually get LED tail lights. That is going to be optional on the GT line model, but it's not going to be standard on any of the trim levels. Now, as far as the design itself, it is a really cool look because we do have kind of the sweeping taillight design that kind of wraps around, goes up here into this part and circles the Kia branding. And then dropping down to your lower elements, no exposed exhaust outlets on any model besides the GT line. If you get a GT line, you're actually going to have a center mounted exhaust outlet, which I think is quite cool for a vehicle in this segment.
Now, of course, no stylish design would be complete without stylish wheel options, and indeed you are going to have those on board. You're going to start out with 16-inch alloy wheels, and all the rest of the trim levels will come standard with at least 17-inch alloy wheels. This EX has a 17-inch contrast alloy with a really cool look. I definitely like this design, but if you want something a little bit bigger, new for 2024 is the EX Designer Package. When you choose that, that's going to upgrade you to 18-inch alloy wheels with a little bit of a more aggressive design. Moving up here to our mirrors, of course, as you'd expect, you do have heating and blind spot monitoring on this trim level.
Now here at the side, you're going to see that this Soul is just as boxy as it ever has been in the past. 165 inches in length is what this vehicle is going to come in as. And of course, that big squared off shape here at the side is going to translate to a lot of interior space, which you'll see a little bit later in the video. Now, as far as your safety systems are concerned, I'm happy to tell you that 3 out of your 4 active safety features are standard equipment on this model. Additionally, optional on the GT line with the tech package, you can get adaptive cruise control with their highway drive assist function. But guys, that's it for the exterior of this 2024 Soul. Let's see what's new on the inside. But before, if you're new here, we're brothers, and we've been reviewing cars since we were 12
and 16. We may be young, but we love cars.
And we'd love for you to subscribe to be a part of our Car Confections family. Let's learn a lot, have some fun with all the latest cars.
Now let's go ahead and move on to the interior. First, as always, we'll take a look at the key fob. This is your typical Kia key fob. If you choose the S model or above, you're going to get smart entry, and you'll also get remote start on the fob. New for 2024, there's a new sleep function to the smart entry system. That basically is just an extra precaution that keeps hackers from being able to duplicate this key code. Now to get inside, no sensor behind the handle, so just press the black button. That's going to unlock the door. And taking a look inside of the cabin, of course, it's very stylish, it's also very practical. And I want to start off by talking about interior color and material choices. So most of the trims are going to come with some kind of cloth combination seat. As you can see, this EX is going to be a full cloth seat. We have the color contrast option, so we have a gray in the center and kind of a black on the outside edges. Overall, pretty soft material, looks nice as well. One of the things I want to point out, though, is that the EX Designer package is going to make an enhancement in here as well. It's going to give you a cloth and leather trimmed seat, and it's going to be an exclusive umber color if that's something that you're interested in. We do also have power adjusting seats here on this top model. But let's go ahead and climb inside. And once you shut the door, you do get a animation across both the gauge cluster and the infotainment screen. And let's talk about one of the things I've always liked about the Kia Soul. That's the fact that even though it's an affordable model, we still have solid build quality. So here on the armrest portion, we do have a leatherette. This is going to be a hard touch, but like I said, feels nice and solid. Along the upper part of the dash, surprisingly, this is all a soft touch plastic. We have piano black trim that's going to surround our vents and main center area, as well as down here below. And like I said, everything fits together well and feels really high quality. Now, to start it up, you're going to press the push button start right there. Now, switching into a first-person perspective, let's take a look at the gauge cluster. As you can see, we do have a digital gauge cluster on board. The center section of this gauge cluster is going to be reconfigurable. The other part is dynamic, but it's not reconfigurable. This is one of the enhancements for the refresh last year, and as we pull back to the steering wheel, we have a nice leather-wrapped steering wheel. It has a unique Soul-specific design from the rest of the lineup, so you've got those kind of circular theme going on through there. And the wheel itself is going to be manual tilt and telescoping. Heating is no longer offered on the Soul like it was previously. Now let's take a look at interior storage. So we'll start out with our center console here. We like to do a thing called the donut test because this is car confections after all, and we'll see how many fit in here. The answer is going to be 8. So as you can see, we got 8 donuts inside the center console, which is a pretty good result for a subcompact crossover, although some of the rivals can do the full dozen. Up in front of that, we have our 2 cup holders. We've got another storage bin, which is very spacious up here. And one of the things I really love is the fact that we have a wireless phone charging pad standard on all but the base model. Now pulling back to the shifter, we do have a traditional style. Just pull back for drive, of course. You can bump over here to the left if you want to shift through some simulated gear changes. And when you go into reverse, you will find a standard backup camera, of course, as well. It does have active trajectory on board, and resolution looks pretty clear. Back behind that, you do have your traditional style handbrake. And in the area next to the shifter, this is where you'll actually find your heated seat controls. These are going to be included on just this fully loaded EX as standard equipment. One thing you don't have to get the fully loaded model to have, though, is your dual zone climate controls. These are actually going to be included on all but the base model. That's pretty impressive for a vehicle in this price point. And again, it does have that same kind of stylized theme that looks pretty nice overall. Now as we rise above that, the next place we come to are our audio controls. All trims will come standard with a 6-speaker sound system, and that's what we have, of course, so we'll give it a sample. Overall sound quality of this system is perfectly adequate for this kind of vehicle at this price point. There is one way, though, you can get an upgraded sound system if you want, and that's going for the GT line model with the optional tech package. that will give you a 10-speaker Harman Kardon sound system, and that's the model that also has the cool light up speaker grills and some of the stuff you may have seen featured in the commercials. All right, let's take a look at our infotainment system. So I told you there'd be some surprising premium features inside the cabin. This is one of them. We have a large 10.25-inch display, and this is actually included on all but the very base LX trim level. As you can see, very large, high resolution. This is kind of the latest Kia software, so you do have things like built-in navigation as well, which can take up the entire display. One thing I do want to point out is that you have Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. Just be aware that it does require a wired connection. Up top here, we do have a manual dimming mirror, but it does have some built-in Kia Connect features for calling roadside assistance or something like that. And then up top, we have a sunroof. This is going to be standard on the GT line and the EX trim levels.
Now come on back here and join me in the Soul's rear seat. Now, spoiler alert, you will be able to fit more than just the hamsters that you see in all the Kia ads in this rear space, because it's actually very, very spacious. We're sitting at 39 inches of legroom, 39.5 inches of headroom, so as you would expect, that big boxy shape on the outside does translate to a ton of just open-air interior space, which I certainly appreciate. It's very rare in this segment of vehicle. Now, as far as how much knee room I have, this seat is adjusted to Drew, who's 5'8". I'm 5'9" for reference, and we are sitting at 6 inches of knee space, so certainly not a bad figure whatsoever. We also do have plenty of room for my feet to slide up underneath the seat. The seats themselves are pretty comfortable. They do not recline, though, so do keep that in mind. Here in the center, no vents, but we do have 2 USB ports. These are the Type-C variety, which is very nice. We also have a seat back pocket here in the passenger seat, as well as a center armrest, which is something that the Honda HR-V does not have. We just reviewed it yesterday, so that's something that's different. Additionally, as far as the door trim is concerned, it's going to be all hard touch from top to bottom, besides for the leatherette armrest portion, and then we do have a little bit of bottle storage in the very bottom. Now let's check out the cargo area and see how much stuff you're going to be able to bring along with you in this Kia Soul. Now, all of them are going to have a manually opening tailgate, and do watch out, since it's so square, it does kind of pop out, so if you're not paying attention, you might clobber yourself in the head. And then as far as the space is concerned back here, another impressive element for this model, 24.2 cubic feet behind the second row seats. If we fold those seats down, it is very easy to fold them down. They're 60-40 split folding seats. We're going to have 62 cubic feet of cargo capacity as a maximum, which is larger than the vast majority of things in this segment. It's going to be bigger than the Honda HR-V, and it's going to be right in line with stuff like the Nissan Kick. So very good cargo figure. Now, of course, here at Car Confections, we do believe in giving you those measurements so you can make informed decisions and know what you're looking at. So from the back of the driver's seat to the rear of the cargo area, we're sitting at 59 inches of length, which might not be as long as some of the rivals, but when it comes to the cargo opening, I'd say we're probably going to have a very wide opening of about 39 inches, and do keep in mind it is very tall. Now, we also have a cargo cover. Underneath of the floor, we do also have a spare tire and a 12-volt outlet here on the left side. Well, guys, here we are behind the wheel of the 2024 Kia Soul, and in this review, we're going to be talking about a lot of different things, as you can see on the screen right now, but first, we're going to start with a hard acceleration.
There we are, kind of taking off with this Kia Soul. Like we mentioned at the spec dump, this just has one powertrain now. Used to have that turbo engine option, but they've kind of simplified it down to just the one engine. It's a 2-liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder engine, 147 horsepower, 132 pound-feet of torque. They use this setup, really in a lot of different Hyundai and Kia products on the kind of entry-level side of things, such as the former 2018 Elantra, Mason.
Yeah, I mean, this powertrain is certainly acceptable. It's not like going to knock your socks off acceleration-wise, but it's going to be good enough to get this vehicle up to speed in a reasonable fashion, as you would expect for this segment of vehicle.
Of course, speed is not the primary focus of this model, but actually it's not bad at all for this category of vehicle. I mean, there's certainly some that are slower than this.
Yeah.
And I think one of the reasons why is because this is matched really well with its continuously variable transmission. When you put your foot down, it's nice and responsive. You're not sitting there waiting for the transmission to kind of get into the right ratio or anything like that. It's not lagging. It gets you going just fine. It also has shift simulation as well to help you avoid drone.
Yeah, and as far as how the power is routed to the ground, I mentioned this at the spec dump, but this vehicle is front-wheel drive only. There is no all-wheel drive, so that's something worth considering. If you need the all-wheel drive system, you will have to get the Seltos model. But now that we're just kind of cruising along here on the highway section, I do want to talk about the Kia Soul's ride quality. Now, this has honestly always been an area that's pretty much impressed me with this model, is because I think it rides really, really good. Everything in here feels very solid, which is rare for the segment. I find my seats to be very comfortable, and also the wheels, I think, being only 17 inches here on the EX model, really contribute to not a lot of penetration entering into the cabin. So when you go over a bump, it does a really good job of just soaking it up. I think this is one of the better ones in the segment. And let's go ahead and get our sound level reading going 55 miles per hour. .2 decibels is our official Car Confections sound level reading, which that is a very solid reading for this segment, but I don't have to sit here and guess, because I can actually go to carconfections.com, because on our website we have all of our sound level readings listed out, and we have tested out a lot of this vehicle's competition. And the numbers do not lie. I told you it was quiet. Indeed, this is actually the quietest model that we have tested in the entire segment, and this segment consists of like 17 different options. So that is very impressive, and the only thing it beats out is the 2023 Kia Soul that we tested out last year. So certainly very, very impressive sound level reading.
Yeah, it's kind of surprising considering the boxy shape, but I guess it's more aerodynamic than it looks.
Now, as far as your fuel economy is concerned, this EX trim level is actually the one that's going to get the best fuel economy of the bunch. 31 miles a gallon combined. If you choose the LXS or GT line, that is actually reduced down to 30 miles a gallon combined. But very good fuel economy overall for this Kia Soul, especially considering its boxy shape. And now it's time for us to go into our Car Confections Slam Dunk and Airball. Drew, what is the Slam Dunk today for the Kia Soul?
It's kind of a big slam dunk, but I think this is fitting. It's a lot of space and a lot of features for the money. We're going to talk about the pricing in just a little bit, but as you probably assumed by this point, it's a very affordable model. Even if you choose the top spec, you have a lot of nice, unexpected technology features inside the cabin, and just a lot of space and practicality that's afforded by the boxy shape.
Yeah, and as far as the airball is concerned, the one thing we really don't like is the lighting in this model. To have full halogen headlights, not even halogen projector headlights, just halogen reflector headlights as standard on all models, that's a little cheap to me, and I honestly think at this point it's a safety hazard to not have some form of LED lighting. Now, yeah, you can get it on the GT line, but that's only one trim level, and it's with an option package. So certainly would like to see expanded availability of those LED headlights. And the last thing here to mention is your warranty. It's going to be 5-year, 60,000 miles for your basic warranty, 10-year, 100,000 miles for your powertrain warranty. Now, I'm very happy to tell you that for 2024, Kia is only raising the price $200 on all the trim levels, which certainly is a lot less than most of the other vehicles in 2024. They keep raising the prices a lot. So this model is still going to start at a very affordable price tag. So for 2024, we're sitting at $24,290 for this EX model, plus a $13,225 destination. We're sitting at $25,910 as tested today. Of course, you can get maybe a little bit more options on the GT line with that tech package. But if I'm a smart shopper, the next step I'm going to go to is I'm going to go to carconfections.com/new car quotes. On there, we have a tool that will connect you with local dealerships in your area to get you the best price, as well as access to invoice pricing. If you want to take advantage of that, a link is provided in the video description. Well, guys, that's going to be it for our in-depth review of the 2024 Kia Soul. If you enjoyed watching this video or found it helpful in your purchasing decisions, we would really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button down below. By subscribing, you help give us access to the newest cars on the market, including this 2024 Soul, that we can tell you some of those changes on that model. If you're already a fan and subscriber, thank you so much for your continued support, and we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.